You know the saying, if you like hot dogs, don't find out how they're made? Well, the same concept applies to many things, and in my case, I'm going to talk about how it applies to games. So I've been a game developer for the past 3 years, and in that time, I've been studying every intricacy of their development, from the coding and the art and the music and all that, and now it has become very difficult for me to just sit back and enjoy playing the game like a normal person. Recently, I was playing through one of my personal favorites, the original Mirror's Edge from 2008, and I was in the middle of a chase sequence when all of a sudden I stopped in my tracks and was fascinated by this tiny little room that I was in. Wow, look at that wall texture. Wow, look at that box. Wow, look at that shadow. Oh my goodness, did you hear that footstep? I was actually so fascinated by the footstep sound effects that I went online and I downloaded a rip of all the sound effects in the game, and I was just flicking through, listening to Faith, the main character, run, jump, and breathe. I may never be able to enjoy gaming like I used to when I was a kid, but I made this video to tell you that it's not all bad, and actually it might be better now than it's ever been, just in a slightly different way. I'm going to tell you all the reasons why, starting with Number 1, appreciating effort. Here we are in Hogwarts Legacy, the sort of new Harry Potter open world game. I want you to imagine what it would be like to create this game from scratch, alone. We're going to start by modeling a single room here. So we just got the floor, the walls, the ceiling. And then we're going to create some basic pieces of furniture. This step alone takes you like 80 hours, let's say, for if you're a skilled artist. Let's multiply that by the number of rooms in the castle, and then maybe some more for the outdoor areas like the grass yards and the courtyards and the Quidditch fields. We're looking at something like 20 to 40,000 hours. That's just to make the environment. And then we can go on about the music and the sound effects and the story and the game and the character design and blah, 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 blah. If you started working right now in 2025, you would die before you finish making the game. Of course, there were hundreds of people that worked on it, but my point is that even these smaller details take a long time to get right. So a normal player, when they jump into Hogwarts Legacy, they'd say, oh wow, I'm in the castle, that's so cool. But I jump in there and I say, oh wow, someone made this castle, and it took forever. The second thing that's better is seeing all the hidden engineering genius. Let's jump into the slide level in Cool Mountain in Super Mario 64 for the DS, the remake. I want you to focus on this wall, this icy wall thing, particularly the way it just kind of fades into black. You might think, oh, there's just a shadow, duh. But if you're a game developer, you look at that shadow and you say, how did they make that shadow? Normally, right, when light hits a surface, it illuminates a part and then it shades the rest. In the real world, this happens all the time, but in games, this is extremely computationally expensive. The CPU can't model every single beam of light, every single frame, at this resolution. It's going to take way too long. So usually what they do is they bake the lights ahead of time, and they just know, like, okay, the light's here, the shadow's there, and it just becomes a texture that they put on the wall. But here's the problem. Textures, especially for like a level about this size, would probably, to store all this lighting information, would probably be like, I'm going to say like 50 megabytes. The entire game is 15 megabytes. So how did they do it? Well, it turns out that the artists at Nintendo are pretty smart. What they did was they put a few points of color on the wall, and then they told the computer to interpolate a gradient between them. If we go into NoClip here and we turn on what this is called vertex colors, we can see what's going on here. And so now what we can do is we can just bring the texture information back, and voila, we have all this lighting information stored in these very, very small amounts of data. I mean, genius. It's so genius. It's so cool. If you were just to zip down the slide in 5 seconds, you would not notice all these details. My next point is about bugs. If you boot up Mario Sunshine and you run over to this pool up here behind the Shine Gate, and you swim like this, and then you press B a few times while holding forward, you clip through the wall and you fall down and end up walking below the surface of the water. To the untrained observer, this may just look like a funny little glitch, but to the experienced observer, it's actually an insight into how the game works. There's actually no water in Mario Sunshine. It's all fake. It's all just a wavy plane of lies. To create the illusion of water, Mario just swims in the air and some bubbly, swishy sound effects play. The surface of the water is simply a trigger to switch between his usual running and jumping and between the swimming state. The glitch is just a way to get under the water surface without entering the swimming state, and therefore revealing the complete lack of water. Try that out. Now, instead of talking about bugs, let's also focus on the general high-level design and the mistakes that can happen there. There's a very old game called Grim Fandango, and it came out in 1998. And it's made by George Lucas, actually. It's really, really great at storytelling, and it's got such great style, and the worlds are so cool. But some of the puzzles are just, like, ridiculous. They're ridiculous. Like, no one on Earth would ever figure it out. For example, look at the submarine puzzle here. You're basically trapped in an engine room. So like the bad guys are out there like with guns like ready to kill you, so you have to find some way to escape. And the only things you have to interact with are the engine like control, so like moving, and dropping and lowering the anchors. You might think that you can just floor it and just get out of there, but then the people come with you on the ship, so the game doesn't let you do that. So here's what you have to do. You have to drop the left anchor. Then you have to move the ship to the left. Then you have to drop the right anchor to hook them together. Then you raise the left anchor, and then you use your scythe to pull it into the window. When you finally raise the right anchor, it tears the ship in half. And you're free to go, and you take off. I mean, it's cool, yeah, when I tell you like that, it sounds like a cool story, but like imagine if you just had to figure that out from nothing. When I was playing this game, I tried stuff for like 20 minutes and I was so frustrated I just looked up a guide. Usually what would happen is I would think about like, oh, what happened behind the scenes that led to this terrible decision? And I think I have an idea. I think the writer came up with what he thought was a really cool idea for a solution to the puzzle. When they got to the boardroom where they were all discussing things, the engineers and the game designers and the puzzle maker was like, no one's able to figure that out. And then there was a battle, and eventually some guy at the top, which was probably George Lucas, probably prioritized the story over the gameplay, and then that's what led to that mistake. When I play a game now, I see right through all the magic and illusions that are supposed to create an immersive experience. Spending 3 years learning game development and constantly peeling back the curtain has left me enjoying games now more than ever. And hopefully, now you can see why. If you're thinking about becoming a game developer and you're worried about hot dog syndrome, don't. Because unlike hot dogs, video games only get sweeter the more you rip them apart. If you want to learn how to make your own video games, join the University of Game Development by clicking the top link in the description below.